I'd like to start out with learning a little bit about you and kind of a little bit about how progressive you are. First of all, how many of you have recently purchased airline tickets online rather than through a travel agency? Wow, good. And how many of you carry a smartphone? Okay. How many of you are on LinkedIn? How about Facebook? Wow, okay. Well, you know what? We have a pretty progressive group here. Now, just to confirm how progressive our society is, though, and how well this room compares, here's one more question for you. But first, I'd like to give you a little bit of background. In the past 10 years, MBA graduating classes have graduated more than 1/3 women. Today, our MBA programs that graduated in year 2013 will be 40 to 45% women. That includes schools like USC, UCLA, Berkeley, Wharton, Duke, and Harvard. It's pretty extraordinary numbers. So, okay, here's the question. How many of you work for companies where at least 1/3 of the executives in your company, that's CEO, CFO, COO, CIO, CMO, are filled by women? Okay, I think we need to work on that a little bit, don't we? Okay. Well, you know, corporations are supposed to be all about growing their revenues while maximizing their profit. They're about making the best of their assets. But what about the human assets? American businesses don't seem to be yet doing a great job of making the best of their human assets, who happen to be our female leaders. Most of you are aware of some of the high-profile women who are on the helm of major companies. Meg Whitman, the former CEO of eBay, who was just brought in as CEO and president of Hewlett-Packard to salvage their troubled company. Arianna Huffington, editor-in-chief of AOL Huffington Post Media Group, who essentially reinvented online news coverage. Irene Rosenfeld, CEO of Kraft Foods. Ellen Kullman, CEO of DuPont. In public life, we see Hillary Clinton as a tough and effective Secretary of State, succeeding the equally forceful Condoleezza Rice. And speaking of really tough women, we all watched with awe Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords struggle to recover from a gunshot wound to her brain. You probably saw that Gabby Giffords has stepped down to continue her rehabilitation. But since you don't live in Arizona's 2nd Congressional District, you may not have paid much attention to the candidacy of Martha McSally, who hopes to replace Giffords. Colonel Martha McSally graduated from the Air Force Academy in 1988. She was the first female Air Force pilot to fly in combat. She flew her single-seat A-10 Warhawk, logging in more than 325 hours in combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other Middle Eastern hotspots. She provided close air support to the ground troops, and she was the first woman in U.S. history to command a fighter squadron. As this roll call of remarkable and extraordinary women demonstrates, the old stereotypes of men's and women's roles are just that, they're stereotypes. There clearly are no executive positions, not in business, not in politics, not in public service, not even in warfare, that women cannot fill as well as men. According to Catalyst, who's been researching women for the past 50 years, women graduating from the top 10 MBA programs, remember that's about 1/3 of the total over the last 10 years, earn on average $4,600 less per year than men, than their schoolmates when they all come out of school. Women who had progressed to senior executive positions during the years of 2005, 6, 7, and 8 were more than 3 times more likely to be downsized in 2009, 10, and 11. In fact, 19% for women compared to 6% for men. Unfortunately, American corporations are treating women as less valuable than their male peers, as measured only by the true objective criterion, which is salary, and they're treating women as 3 times as disposable as men when the going gets tough. Let's take a broader look at what these statistics mean. Women make up about 47% of the American labor force, and nearly 52% of those jobs that are professional and office, white collar, are held by women. Among the Fortune 500 companies, only 14% of executive officers are women. Since they represent about 52% of the employees, they're underrepresented by a whopping 73%. Women are only about 7.5% of the top earners in the Fortune 5. That is, if we look at the 5 best paid positions of each of these 500 companies, we find that women fill 188 out of the 2,500 jobs. And they're just 3.5% of the CEOs. To save you from doing the math, that's 17 female CEOs out of 500. Certainly that's a disservice to our shareholders. So why don't the board of directors call their CEOs on the carpet and ask why they're not fully exploiting the capabilities of their female executives? Maybe it's because 16% of board seats are filled by women. So what's all this mean to corporate executives? Well, today, for the smarter ones, it means they have a terrific opportunity to outpace their competition, simply by recognizing and taking advantage of the talented women that are already in their organizations and that they may have overlooked in the past. Since most businesses, customers, are women, and those women are responsible for more than half of all consumer spending, it should be obvious that those women will know how to reach their customer. But women are also adept at designing jet engines or concocting pharmaceuticals or figuring out how to finance an international construction project. Running a company and managing people and having gender balance may never be easy. The global financial crisis we've had weathered has really magnified those difficulties for every company. Well, I enjoyed very much being here today, and thank you for inviting me.